Hey there, and welcome to the Hey Kahla Podcast. I am your host, Kayla Evans. I am a confidence and public speaking coach, and if you're new here, welcome. My show is all about mindset. We've got spirituality, self-confidence, all of those good, juicy things. So grab your coffee, your tea, whatever's in your cup, get ready, get comfy, and let's get into the very first show of 2025. And today, because it's the new year, I thought it'd be so fitting that we chat about a topic that is everywhere. We're talking on every single social media feed, commercial break if you watch TV, traditional TV, even if you have the streaming services, we got ads now. They're popping up everywhere. Ads we didn't even ask for. The infamous New Year, New Me messaging. We know the vibe. These are like these endless reminders that we're somehow not good enough unless we buy this product or try this cleanse. You know, we're planning our life down to this second using this Notion template that we need, like all of those things. And we are flooded with this kind of messaging all year long. Yes, 100%. It's how big companies market to get us. We know that. But New Year's, it's like on 1,000,000,000% more of a rollout, right? Like it is ramped up this time of year. And this whole new year, new me energy, it's not actually about growth or healing or your potential. It's not. It's about selling you stuff. And there's a difference. Yes, I'm not talking about coaches, right? I'm not talking about people who actually want to help you and are in it to help you grow. I'm talking about these big companies that want you to think that, you know, you're broken or you're behind somehow, so you'll buy their quick fixes, right? All of this is noise and we just don't need it. And some coaches, yes, I know, and I've worked with and I've seen folks or been in rooms with folks that, yes, they use that kind of messaging to get you, and that's gross. We don't like that. But if you're listening to this show, I'm assuming you're not one of those kind of people. And if you do want to make changes, you want to make them because you want to make them, right? Not because anybody's telling you that there's something wrong with you. And the holidays, I mean, they're rough for a lot of us. And just in case you need like a really loving reminder, let me tell you this, you're not behind, you're not broken, and you're not missing anything. You don't need a juice cleanse to be worthy. You don't need some kind of special planner to make your life Pinterest perfect. If you want those things, then yes, go get them. Because yeah, those tools can be helpful. I bought a new planner. Of course I did. I need one to help me organize my life. But you decide what's valuable or meaningful or worth changing in your life, right? Just like I do. We don't need a commercial or a trend or an influencer to tell us those things. We know what's best for us. And if we don't know what's best for us, we can start looking to find something that's in alignment with what could be best for us, right? So again, if you don't want to make changes, cool. If you do want to make some changes, you know, maybe eat better, move your body more, a big move like maybe across the country or starting a new job or starting a side hustle. Yeah, I am all for it. I've got some big plans for 2025. I do. So I get it. And again, I just truly believe that you need to do what's best for you and that you should always follow your gut. And I just want to encourage you to do things in your way, again, because you want to do them, not because you saw something on social media and now you feel like you have to do it. And that is tricky. That is a slippery slope. I just did my annual January it's kind of like clearing the decks where I unfollow a bunch of people on social media, and it's never anything personal. It's just, I either don't engage with these accounts or I don't like the content that these accounts are putting out, or it makes me feel like I'm behind or something like that. So January is like a big cleanse of social media and different people's email lists that I've signed on to and things like that, because it's really easy, especially on social media, to get caught up in those kinds of things. I only keep the really inspirational accounts, but the accounts that are starting to make me feel, and it's nothing against them. Like that's my own thing. Like that's my own problem. They're not responsible for the way I feel. I'm responsible for the way I feel. But in saying that, I unfollow or I mute, right? So if you're thinking about making some changes, and I'm right there with you, let them be on your terms. Do what feels right for you, like not what everyone else is doing. Whether it's, again, that small tweak or that major shift, it's your life, it's your rules, you're the one that gets to decide. No one else gets to dictate your timeline or your priorities. And if you are going to be making some changes, I would also just encourage you to not put so much pressure on yourself to overhaul your entire life in the first week of the year, just like that. January 1st is not the deadline. Like, there is no deadline. Like, your life is to be lived. You don't have to have your entire life figured out at a certain point. I don't think that anybody reaches this, right, the deadline or the end point and they're like, yep, I'm good, I'm done. No, like, you're always going to be learning and changing, hopefully, and progressing, and life moves on, right? And you move at your own pace. There's no one size fits all plan for success, and there's no one version of success that is true for every person. So do what feels good for you when it feels good for you. Move at your own pace. And in saying that, like, you don't have to hustle harder or set 50 goals or do things like anyone else. You don't have to change everything overnight or ramp up. I don't think it's always about work harder, work harder, work harder. A lot of the times I think it's, you have to put in the work, yeah, but work in a way that works for you. And on the other side of that, it's perfectly fine if you don't want to make any big changes right now. Like I mentioned earlier, the holidays can be a really rough time for a lot of us. And maybe you're still in the vibe of reflecting on last year, or maybe you're looking around thinking like, what the hell just happened? You know, you're not alone. Maybe you're just not ready to dive into goal setting mode yet. And that's okay. You've got a whole year ahead of you to figure things out. You got a whole life ahead of you to figure things out. There's no rush. And it's okay if you're still easing into the year, or even if you have no clue what direction you want to go in for 2025. I've definitely been there many years. This time last year, I was really unsure of what I wanted to do. So I didn't actually get into any real goal setting or planning until I moved through January and kind of figured things out as I went. So whether you are on the side of being super motivated and really excited to make changes, or maybe you're still setting the scene for your 2025, I just want you to always appreciate what you've already done and what you've already built and who you already are. So whether you're team, I'm chilling right now, I don't know what I'm doing, or team, like, I'm doing 75 hard, or whatever that big trend is. I think it starts like January 6th. I keep seeing it everywhere. I'm tempted, but I know, like, it's just not my thing. No matter what side of, the scale you're on, or somewhere in between, I am big on celebrating your wins, like big wins, small wins, everything in between. And this was actually my most downloaded podcast episode of 2024. It's called Celebrating Yourself and Taking Control of Your Own Validation. It's not a great title. It was early in the podcast days, let me tell you. It was like one of my first couple shows, I think. And I'm going to link it in the show notes. But basically, this episode is all about reclaiming your power and not waiting for somebody else to pat you on the back. It's about recognizing and celebrating yourself and your own efforts and accomplishments. Because, like, again, you don't need somebody else's applause or permission to feel proud of yourself. You've got you. And that's always enough. And again, I'll put that episode in the show notes in case you haven't listened yet, or you want to give it another lesson. But basically, to narrow down all this rambling, what I want to leave you with in this very first episode of 2025 is that you don't have to change everything overnight. It's not too late. You're not too far behind. And you don't actually even have to change anything at all. Your path is yours, and it's unfolding exactly as it's meant to. You're already magic. You're already awesome. And you don't need a new you. The you right now, like, you're killing it. So go into the new year with that energy, the kind that says, like, I'm good. I've got this. I am great just as I am. Because I do believe that we can, even if we want to change ourselves or change our lives, we can still love ourselves at the same time. Like, you can still be into personal development, self-development. That's pretty much my whole universe, but still love yourself at the same time, and yet want to change or want more or want to grow or want to progress. Like, it's not either or. You're not going to hate yourself into the version you want to be. We hear that all the time. So I think those two things they definitely go hand in hand. Love who you are right now while wanting to make, I guess, quote, improvements to yourself or change in the ways that you want to change. And again, if you don't want to make any changes, you don't need to. Just do whatever you want to do. And with that, thanks as always for tuning in and spending some time with me. Always love having you here. If this episode hit home, feel free to share it with a friend who needs to hear it too. And for more updates and inspiration, you can always find me online at heykahla.com or on Insta at heykahla. And I hope you have the best week and the best start to your new year.